You guys, we have to talk about what's going on with the Summer I Turned Pretty cast, because the internet is convinced there's way more happening behind the scenes than we see on screen. Fans are buzzing with rumors that Lola Tung, who plays Belly, and Christopher Briney, who plays Conrad, might not exactly get along with Gavin Casaleño, who plays Jeremiah in real life. Now, that might sound like just another silly fan theory, but here's the thing. The internet has receipts. People have been dissecting every single press tour clip from season 3, every side glance, every awkward laugh, every little pause. And they're convinced it all points to some real off-screen drama. And it's not just about awkward vibes. During interviews, some fans think this distance in the cast might even be connected to Gavin's personal life and political views, which they believe don't line up with the rest of the group. When you add in the fact that the fandom is already split down the middle with Team Conrad versus Team Jeremiah.
Such a good question. You know what? There is a lot of very magical, fun moments to film, especially coming up, and I would say, everything's so, I don't know, like the story is very dramatized, and something that's so beautiful is getting to be in the car with each other and just be able to sing songs together, and just enjoy each other's presence, and that's something that I personally enjoy, and just my real life, and something so sweet about those moments that kind of build the relationship and build the foundation of those relationships. It's not always the grand moments of a relationship or of a life, but sometimes it's the beauties in the small things. And so I think that's kind of, we get so many very small, beautiful moments.
They've shared childhood memories, awkward teenage years, and now, complicated feelings. Here's where it gets messy. Belly is caught in a love triangle between the two brothers. Conrad, played by Christopher Briney, is the older brother. He's the classic brooding, mysterious, sometimes frustrating, but deeply lovable type. He's the one fans describe as the slow burn heartbreak. Jeremiah, played by Gavin Casaleño, is the younger brother. He's outgoing, charming, the golden retriever personality, at least in earlier seasons, so the whole show becomes this constant tug of war. Does Belly follow her heart toward the brooding Conrad or the sweet and safe Jeremiah? And fans are deeply divided. On TikTok, it's an all-out war. Team Conrad versus Team Jeremiah. People analyze scenes like it's life or death. They break down every look, every word, every little gesture. And honestly, the obsession feels like a mix between the Twilight era, when people were fighting over Team Edward versus Team Jacob, and the Outer Banks craze, where fans shipped every possible pairing. So, with a fandom this intense, the second people start to think the actors behind the love triangle don't like each other in real life, it's basically gasoline on the fire. Now, here's where things start to get interesting. Because if you look closely at the cast of The Summer I Turned Pretty, you'll notice something that fans can't stop pointing out. They don't
and still incredibly captivating in the moment, and I think, it's really beautiful.
the author and showrunner. They've even been seen attending big events together, like concerts. But Gavin Casaleño, Jeremiah, fans have noticed he's rarely included in these hangouts. One example that fans really latched onto, Gavin got married recently, and none of his co-stars or even Jenny Han were spotted at the wedding. Now, of course, people don't have to invite their coworkers to major life events. That's normal. But because the fandom is so intense, the absence of cast members only fueled speculation that maybe Gavin isn't as close with them as people assumed. And that's the thing. Fans don't just want a good show. They want the illusion of a perfect cast friendship. They want to believe that the love triangle on screen translates into a fun, close friend group off screen. When they don't see that, they feel let down, and they start looking for reasons. So instead of seeing a cast that's obsessed with hanging out together, like Outer Banks Season 1 where the actors literally live together for a while, what fans are getting here feels More like a group of coworkers who are professional, polite, and doing their jobs, but not necessarily texting each other non-stop once the cameras stop rolling. And that professional distance is exactly what fans are reading as awkwardness, or even dislike, especially when it comes to Gavin. If the cast dynamics already had fans suspicious, the Season 3 press tour basically poured gasoline on the fire. Because when the cast sat down for interviews to promote the new season, fans noticed something very specific. The energy was off. Clips started going viral, where Lola Tung and Christopher Briney seemed a little cold or distant toward Gavin Casaleño. Fans pointed out side eyes, awkward body language, and even long pauses whenever Gavin spoke. And of course, the fandom dissected every second of it like it was a crime scene. One moment that really blew up online happened during a lie detector test interview. Gavin asked Lola, "Do you think we would have been friends in school?" And instead of a warm, easy "yes," Lola hesitated and gave a kind of half answer. Something like, "Maybe we'd say hi in the hallway. It depends on classes and interests." Fans said the vibe was so tense. And the fact that Lola couldn't just say, "Yeah, of course," made the internet convinced she was being brutally honest. Another viral clip came from a Teen Vogue panel with the three leads. The interviewer asked them to share their favorite qualities about each other. Normally, after years of working together, you'd expect quick, heartfelt answers, right? But instead, fans noticed long pauses and awkward laughs, like no one really knew what to say about Gavin. Viewers immediately labeled it painful to watch. TikTok and Twitter comments were brutal. People wrote things like, "They definitely hate him." "This feels like subtle bullying." "You can tell there's a separate group chat without him." Even moments that weren't particularly shady got picked apart. For example, in one clip, Gavin joked about being like a golden retriever, and while he was clearly playing along, fans swore Lola and Chris's reactions felt forced, like they didn't really enjoy the bit. Basically, every interview turned into a new conspiracy theory. And while it could just be awkward humor or mismatched personalities, the fandom has decided there's no way this is just coincidence. So instead of seeing a cast that's playful and in sync during press tours, like we saw with Outer Banks, fans feel like they're watching three people trying to tolerate each other on camera. And that's why the rumor that Gavin is on the outside has only gotten stronger now. Here's the part of the story that takes things from simple, maybe they're just awkward coworkers, into full-on controversy. Politics. Fans believe one of the biggest reasons Gavin doesn't seem as close with the rest of the cast comes down to his personal beliefs and how different they appear to be from Lola and Chris. Here's what happened. A while back, Gavin was called out online for allegedly liking posts on Instagram that were considered anti-feminist and anti-vax. One viral screenshot showed that he had liked a post saying, "When you find out she's unvaxxed, not a feminist, loves the Lord, and aspires to be a wife, mother, and homemaker." This immediately set off alarms in the fandom, especially because The Summer I Turned Pretty is literally a female-centered story created by Jenny Han, a woman, and led by Lola Tung, who has openly supported progressive causes. So for Gavin to be linked to posts that go against feminism, fans felt that would create a major clash in values with his co-stars. It didn't stop there. Gavin was also accused of showing support for Republican candidates in the past. And while there's nothing inherently wrong with having different political views, Hollywood, and especially young casts like this one, tend to lean more liberal. Fans believe this political divide could be another reason why Gavin doesn't click with Lola and Chris. On TikTok, people were blunt about it. Some comments read, "It's not about him being Christian, it's about him being MAGA." Chris and Sean are clearly liberal. Gavin is conservative. That's the real tension. They were closer in season 1 until Chris realized Gavin was MAGA. Now, is any of this officially confirmed? No. Gavin hasn't made public political statements, and all we have are these social media receipts. But in the world of fandoms, that's enough. Once fans connect dots, even loosely, the theory spreads like wildfire. And that's why so many people believe the awkwardness in interviews isn't just random. They think there's a deeper divide rooted in very different worldviews.